You may now begin your presentation.
The University of Fort Hare is a remarkable institution that is traditionally recognized as one of the prestigious learning institutions on the African continent. You may be aware that Fort Hare is the oldest historically black university in South Africa, which has a long-standing tradition of non-racism, characterized by intellectually enriching and critical debate, an evident aspiration towards educational excellence, and a vibrant social life. You may also know of Fort Hare's prominent alumni from South Africa and countries such as Kenya, Uganda, and Nigeria, who have excelled in politics, arts, medicine, religion, and business. Before all the history and tradition, the very ground upon which Fort Hare stands today, the Ngxe Valley in Alice Town, was a sacred ground for the local Xhosa tribes, a place for traditional initiations, cultural celebrations, and historical heritage. During colonization of South Africa, the Ngxe Valley saw a great deal of military activity, as it was the disputed boundary between the Cape Colony and Xhosa land. The town of Alice has changed since then. Policies destroyed the once vibrant multiracial community when many residents left Alice in the 1970s. During the Ciskei era, there were hardly any new infrastructure investments, while existing public and private investments were barely maintained. Furthermore, most municipal functions were relocated to Fort Beaufort with the new municipal dispensation in the early 2000s. The overall result was the stagnation of the Alice economy. Today, the Ngxe Valley reflects the stability of people living on land that has been in their individual families for over 150 years. Neatly fenced plots in each village emphasize the orderliness of the valley. Due to lack of employment opportunities in the region, residents of these villages are poor in material sense, but rich in their historical heritage and natural beauty.
We see dreams in our community.
We imagine possibilities.
We fight for what we believe in.
We enjoy rewards of our efforts.
Sife UFH.
We go beyond the ordinary.
Today, we present to you 3 of the 4 projects we have been working on over the year, starting with biogas, a continuing project.
Electricity shortages in South Africa have resulted in the dissatisfaction of citizens. Rural initiatives coupled with rapid growth in urban and peri-urban areas have led to energy crisis despite Eskom and government efforts to address the increasing energy needs. Use of paraffin and firewood as substitutes has led to many cases of house fire. Scarcity of alternative fuel and escalating global oil prices have placed a burden on families, especially women and children who travel up to 8 kilometers to get firewood and spend hours at fuel stations waiting for expensive paraffin.
The research carried out by the Fort Hare Institute of Technology in 2010 states that 56 villages surrounding the Alice town do not have access to electricity. This is due to 2 major reasons. The family income is so low, they can't afford it. The electricity power lines have not yet reached them. Milani was selected to be part of a project where we engage the community in addressing problems of service delivery while making a business case to the solution. We conducted interviews observation, distributed out questionnaires, and all these, they led to a detailed demographic profile of the Milani community.
We discovered in Melanie that there is at least one child or an elderly dependent for every adult, but only 1 in 12 adults have a job. Most residents rely on government social grants for their livelihood. 13% of the inhabitants have not attended any formal education, and of those who attend, only 14% complete their matric. If the unemployed youth are classified as dependents, it means in Melanie there are 11 dependents for every income earner. Other revelations from our outreach were as follows: high occurrence of respiratory complications due to high use of firewood and paraffin. And lastly, there was a lack of skills and knowledge to sustainably utilize their natural resources.
In 2011, Sife UFH, in partnership with Smart 2 Energy, undertook a biogas electrification project in Melanie village. We involved the community in constructing a biomass digester and facilitated the training to local unemployed youth. Because of high operating costs, we saw a need to couple the energy generation with entrepreneurial activities. We have established a community bakery running on biogas electricity based that helps generate funds for the running cost of the digester. We also set up a management trust made up of community leaders that help mobilize and manage the rollout plan. And today, we are happy to report that
11 previously unemployed youths are now involved in different capacities in bakery and electricity generation, a move that reduces dependency to 9 dependency per 1 income earner. 6 members of the community have been trained in bakery, business management, and industrial regulations before the establishment of the bakery. The bakery sells an average of 3,000 loaves a month at a cost of 5 rand a loaf and a selling price of 6 rand 80 cents a loaf, and this translates to about 21,000 revenue. 4 houses are now running entirely on electricity generated from biogas, a move that reduces energy costs. The byproduct of the digestion slurry is now being used as an environmentally friendly fertilizer in a communal garden.
This project complies with the triple bottom line approach in the sense that biogas is a cleaner source of energy compared to traditional fossil fuels. The natural environment will replenish as there is less pressure on firewood demand. The community is fully involved, and this fosters a social cohesion among residents. Cleaner fuel means less health and fire risk, while food and energy security are being achieved. Building from the success of this project, we decided to expand to the Ntelamanzi community in Alice. We intend to create an integrated energy model that sustains the community whilst creating employment. It has a 3-phase rollout plan: training of beneficiaries, building of biogas infrastructure, as well as developing and establishing entrepreneurial activities. We have also conducted an interview with Dr. Samson of the Hare Institute of Technology.
There is marketing that needs to be done for the bread. So student bodies like Sife can come in and say, okay, we're going to assist with the marketing of the bread. And then you go ahead, you market the bread, you get the market. It's good for the community, it's good for the students who are involved in marketing. They are learning the skill. It's good for me, because if the project doesn't get the market, then people cannot bake bread and I cannot make measurements. So yeah, I see a lot of synergy, so to say. I see a lot of involvement.
Biogas.
Light up the nation.
And now, we present to you the vermicomposting, our new project.
Alice is a unique African university town, deeply influenced by its close ties to the surrounding rural areas. However, human intervention has resulted in heavy eutrophication to the river systems, which are the life of the natural vegetation of the town. University of Fort Hare's Green Campus initiative attributes this damage to unsustainable agricultural practices. The Ngxe Valley is littered with small, neatly fenced plots of varying sizes, where a variety of agricultural activities are taking place. A group of 8 farmers in Tselamanzi village own a small farm known as Ngxe Food Security Project, which until recently was experiencing financial instability due to low yields and poor sales figures. The farm engages in unsustainable agricultural practices, such as the use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides, leading to the depletion of the soil quality and pollution of the adjacent Ngxe River.
Sife UFH works together with the Institute of Transdisciplinary Studies to develop research tools that would help us to get a better understanding of factors influencing farmer behavior in the Ngxe Valley. The results led us to the following conclusions. There is a lack of much-needed technical support, which has reduced productivity. The agricultural sector in Alice as a whole is operating at 30% of its total capacity. Meanwhile, many households in Alice are sustained by income from a single wage earner. And whilst marketing skills are a key shortfall of these farmers, there is also a dysfunctional fresh produce market in Alice. These farmers also possess poor formal education, but they have a rich grasp of indigenous knowledge systems and historical heritage. My team and I sought to turn around the operations of Ngxe farmers by increasing their production capacities, finding innovative ways in which they can access the fresh produce market, reducing their operating costs without compromising the quantity nor the quality of their produce. And we built a skill set with the farmers in order to successfully implement this project.
Working with the Department of Agriculture from the University of Fort Hare, we conducted workshops to empower Ngxe farmers with sustainable techniques such as composting, zero tillage, mulching, financial literacy, and product placement.
Ututwini is a waste disposal practice that was practiced by the ethnic Xhosa tribes in the early 20th century to dispose kitchen organic waste whilst making useful manure for gardens. Using a reconstruction of traditional Ututwini practices developed by fragments told to us by old women, we used nitrogen-fixing earthworms and came up with a model to make organic fertilizer. The result was a process that produced more organic fertilizer per unit time. The organic fertilizer does not only improve soil fertility, but also improves water retention capacity of the soil, disease resistance of the crops, and reduces reliance on the use of chemically based fertilizers and pesticides.
Because of a dysfunctional fresh produce market in Alice, small-scale farmers such as Ngxe produce quantities that are too low to maintain the market space or the quality is too poor to be consumed. After addressing the production side of the Ngxe farm, we went on further to help them increase the market value of their products by introducing them to Ngxe agro-processing. The agro-processing platform did not only show an increase in their market, but it also helped them have a greater bargaining power through conjunction with other small-scale farmers. The Ngxe move also saw an increase in their turnover from 13,000 rand per quarter to 18,000 rand.
At Sife UFH, we are happy to report that the Ngxe farm is 100% running on organic fertilizer. This translates to a 10,000 rand savings in chemicals and fertilizer. The Green Campus Initiative has reported a 75% improvement in the effluent being discharged in the Ngxe River from the farm. Excess earthworms are being sold to fishermen and some are fed to poultry.
Going into the future, we hope to help the Ngxe farm to get a competitive advantage by representing their produce as being organic. We want to replicate this project not only in the Ngxe Valley, but in the rest of Eastern Cape and South Africa at large. We hope to help the farmers to get a competitive by representing their produce as being organic so that the environment can get like a competitive to other farmers. Yes. We also asked the Institution of Transdisciplinary Studies to maintain interest in the project by having academic research on the project, and that may result in publications. The Institution of Transdisciplinary working together with the Green Campus Initiative, plans to continue monitoring the environmental quality of the project. And now, a testimony from Vermicompost.
Kakhulu indima edlalwe yile Sife yaseForte ewe njengoba ke sincedisana iye yasebenza ukuba mayigcine umhlaba wethu ityebile kodwa ngexesha elinye ungenazo izinambuzane okanye besinengxaki kakhulu kwisithuba ke siserhorho ebesitya ukutya ya loo nto ibiye isifundisa uba masithenge fertilizer sithenge izibulala nje nezinambuzane ya konke kunjalo njengospa njengospa njengezinye njalo isupermarket ezilapha etawuni kanti even mhlawumbi nesibhedlele sawo kuba nezinto esizingenisayo kuso.
Ututwini.
Modern science meets tradition. And now, for our other new project, Kanyisa.
The Eastern Cape has the highest percentage of impoverished people in South Africa, with high incidence of nutrition-related diseases, such as malnutrition, kwashiorkor, and marasmus. However, many of the children still arrive at schools hungry, and this disrupts their learning ability compared to their more urban counterparts. Launched in 1994 as a presidential-led project, the primary school nutrition program was implemented nationally as a way of countering the problem of hungry pupils in schools. Since the inception of the program, the Eastern Cape has been fraught with poor administration and inefficiency. As a result, the school feeding program has been interrupted several times and school children are not fed. As Sife UFH, we set out to turn dissatisfaction into profit by involving communities in the nutrition program.
Kanyisa processing was established in mid-2000 to support the agricultural development of Alice. The aim of Kanyisa is to capture as much of agricultural development in Alice, in rural areas of Alice. It currently consists of the following units: a seedling nursery, a production facility, and a vegetable processing facility.
We identified that access to market has been a big problem for Kanyisa, and thus resulted in a lot of processed produce failing to be absorbed by the market. Instead, after consultations with the Business Advisory Board, we established a space for Kanyisa's produce in the dried vegetable and soup market segment. In 2011, Kanyisa implemented a turnaround strategy and focused more on the non-perishable sectors of the business. We felt it was not enough to just target the general market, and so we presented Kanyisa management workshops concentrating on niche marketing and product placement. The result was so great that Kanyisa management was so happy, and that happened before we challenged them to come up with a high product of high product range and high nutritional value. The result was a traditional sishebo soup based on a traditional recipe passed on for generations in the Xhosa culture.
To date, the Kanyisa Sishebo soup has been successfully marketed to the school's nutrition program, and the following achievements have been noted. The Kanyisa has been contracted to supply soups for 55,000 meals a day at a cost of 10 rand per packet. This ensures that the community does not only involve themselves in the nutrition program, but also in making money whilst helping out. The Kanyisa turnover has increased from 35,000 rand to 80,000 rand a month, and 14 more jobs have been created to manage the workload.
Also, the indigenous heritage and tradition of the shishlebo soup making is now being passed and preserved with the school children in the SNP. The preparation time for meals has been shortened, as there is no need to catch vegetables in the preparation of stew as the shishlebo soup is used. The drying process is entirely powered by solar panels, ensuring that agro-processing remains carbon neutral. The involvement of small-scale farmers in the SNP program means that the community have got a sense of entitlement in the project.
We also went a step further by linking parts of the value chain of Ngxe processing with our other Sife projects, both past and present. For example, vermicomposting, biogas, and fair sale. Samples of the sishebo soup are available to interested parties after the presentation. We also have an interview with Ngxe management and a testimony from a high school student.
My name is Stephen, and as we say, Sife has helped us a lot with training, providing training for us in bookkeeping and in marketing. At the moment, we're marketing to the schools, the school feeding scheme, to the general public. Our lives has changed for the better since we've worked together in partnership with Sife. We've at least got an income that we generate through here.
Okay, we lead the Lord and the Father, district East London. I've been doing this soup. It's nice, and I think it's healthy.
Finally, team sustainability.
Solar panels.
You may now begin the question and answer session if you wish.
Thank you very much. Sife, UFH, thank you for the presentation. There's a few questions that I want to pose to you, which would give some clarity to us as judges. The one question is your exit strategy in terms of the projects that you have done. Your exit strategy, I don't know if you guys have come up with an exit strategy or if you're planning to be in those communities forever on those projects. If you could just tell us what is your exit strategy. The second question that I would like to pose to you is, if one were to look at your Ututwini vermicompost, you are talking about improvement of soil fertility and water retention, but you are not quantifying those in terms of percentages to say from what percentage of fertility to what percentage. Can you clarify that?
Thank you very much for the question. My name is Innocent Mtize. I'm the acting president for Sife UFH team. To get back into your question, the exit strategy that we have implemented for all our projects is that we've partnered with our institution, with our research institutions that are at our university. They develop a lot of knowledge around these areas, and we tend to use them to develop these projects until they are sustainable enough. We have a plan that in the next 3 years, we will have enough information about the factors that influence the behavior of our beneficiaries, so that we can, after that, recommend or leave the projects in the safe hands. We've also managed to set up community trusts made up of the beneficiaries and also the community leaders, so that they can take over and end up running the projects when we leave. Then the other aspect has been mentioned in the presentation. We are planning to take the biogas project to Nselamanzi community. But when we take it to Nselamanzi community, we're going to use beneficiaries from Melani village who were trained to train the other beneficiaries we are anticipating in Selamansi, so that we end up with having the community involved in the training and the passing on of knowledge. To go on to the final part, I think about numbers and figures. We are not quite reliably informed about the numbers because the Department of Agriculture of UFH is doing research around that area. But what they've advised us is that this is a better way of going compared to fertilizer. If they have done their publications and it's out there, we would be happy to share the information with you. Thank you.
Good presentation, well done. One question about the biogas project. You spoke a lot about biogas, the digester. The generating plant for the electricity, was that an existing installation? Did you have to install generating plant for electricity? How did you get the electricity into the network to feed these various projects? And what were the financial implications? Do you charge for the electricity or not?
Okay, the biogas digesters that we put run mainly on two main raw materials. The first one is cow dung, and the second one is sawdust. The approach that we use here is also the same. We involve a lot of our researchers so that they get as much information and recommend as much as they can. What these guys did, they applied for NRF funding to set up a pilot biodigester for every household, for the 4 households, with a different capacity and with different specifications. What then happens is that when the biogas is produced from either sawdust or cow dung, it is then cleaned up and compressed and fed into a generator. This generator then generates electricity for the households. We are also trying to develop information around the usage of this electricity, like the capacity that this generator can come up with, and also the requirements for the families.
Can I ask a question around the Ututwini project? When you looked at the farming and the communities around, and I think you said 54 villages around Alice, did you consider the irrigation schemes that were used previously and how you can learn from that and say, how do you use that to affect and impact on a whole lot of the communities around there at a single go, instead of having to do the villages one at a time?
What we really looked at was, from a historical point of view, the people that live around the Chume Valley are proud people, but they have a lack of formal education. What they have is cultural heritage that they have so much pride in. So we asked them, and we had fragments of stories about the Ututwini culture. And with these fragments, we developed a model, a reconstruction of what they were telling us. And with using that, we applied it to modern scientific breakthroughs and came up with that model. In terms of the irrigation schemes that they already had, we are still working in terms of how much of it can we take in and how much science says about it. But it's work in progress. We haven't left the Ututwini project yet. We just worked with them for a year. We're planning to do that going into the future.
All these projects include many stakeholders. What are you guys doing in terms of managing the various interests in the community of a lot of people with a lot of needs in terms of managing those stakeholders? Because sometimes you find that
I'm
part of it
afraid the time
becomes
has expired. I'm very sorry.